Hey, hello, and welcome to Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what usually happens for about half an hour before you hear the hello.
Well, I just finished editing last week's episode, and we went on for like half an hour before the episode started about, I don't know. One thing from last week's episode that I was fact checking it when I was editing it. I said that in Kosovo that they named a load of children Tony after Tony Blair. It turns out they named a load of kids like they made up a new first name, Tony Blair. So there was like kids called Tony Blair Brennan. And when he came back after like 10 years or something and like to give a, I don't know, meet and greet, and he was introduced to all these kids called like Tony Blair. Which is great.
That was when the Pope came to Ireland, John Paul, that was like, that's why everyone's called JP.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
so many JPs from,
That must be weird for him. It's just like...
Now, this is a question that we've been talking, me and my housemates have been talking about this week. Would you call your child Erskine?
No.
Is that cruel?
If I was to have a child, I'd like to give it every chance in life to succeed. I wouldn't be purposefully setting it up to fail.
I know. Erskine Childers. One of our greatest presidents.
Yeah, but if your name is...
one of our presidents.
If your name's Childers and you're coming from a bit of money, Erskine's fine. If you're rich, you can call your kid whatever you want. Cause...
That's true. Well, we did I can't remember when we did an episode about his dad, and his like dad smuggled guns. It was like part of the 1914 gun running. But so you got him like a celebrated gun smuggler, and then his son, the president. Both of them are Erskine Childers, but then I've never heard anyone else called Erskine.
No, it's a very
But it's weird that you'd have two such like prolific. Yeah, well, maybe there was loads of Erskines in the 60s though you just never heard of.
Or no, there probably wasn't, and that's why they were famous. Because when people were trying to recount history, they're going, "And who was around that day?" They're like, "Well, there was John, there was Mike, there was that guy with the funny name." What was Milton, or was it Joffrey, or God? It was Erskine. It was fucking Erskine.
And when they went for the presidential ballot, no one could remember anyone else's name. It was just 17 Michaels and then Erskine. You're like, yeah, I've heard of that one, I suppose. He'll get number one.
Well, he's the only one who could sign his name that wasn't an X. So it was pretty memorable.
Erskine. It sounds like one of Blind Boy's short stories. My name's Erskine Childers, and I'm 6 years old, and I've got a weasel. I'm really annoyed because my housemate can do a very good Blind Boy impression, and I've been working on mine.
Fair.
Erskine Childers.
You're nowhere
near it, but listen,
you're not working that hard.
What's something he'd say? Do you get into the voice?
I have arrived. I have arrived. No.
Hello, you beautiful boys and girls.
I was only actually, I gave the Boulevard Wren to my housemate there a few months ago, and I said a few months ago, a year and 2 months ago, and he...
Not that I'm keeping track. He hasn't given it back yet.
Actually, in fairness, it was probably January of this year, because I got it as... it was a Christmas present of 2019. So it's 18 months ago.
Jesus Christ.
However, I'm bad at maths, or months. You're the bad.
No, you're very right. But, I mean, in fairness, there has been a lot going on in the last 18 months.
No, but that's the thing. There hasn't, because he had so much time to do it, because he had nothing else to do. And he never read their short stories. I'm like, hey, just
he still hasn't read it. Oh.
I took it back from him. And I was like, he's like, I'm not a really big reader. I'm like, these aren't, you don't have to be a big reader. You have to admit to me that you don't read at all, or you can't physically read an 8-page story over the space of 18 monts.
You could have read one of the stories.
Yeah, I specifically said, hey, read this one, because he likes beer and he's a chef. And I was like, read the one, was it the Gruyere Desmond or whatever? That one about the boys club having cheeses and craft beers. And I was like, oh, maybe he'll like this one. And he's a sad lad, so maybe he'll enjoy the theme of that whole thing. But no, and then I gave it to my other housemate who does read. He reads about 2 books a week. I gave it to him about a month ago. As he gave me a book and I read it. I just gave Kevin a recommendation. City of Glass, graphic novel adapted by Paul Auster novel. He hasn't fucking read it. He hasn't. And I'm like, you'd be the one person I want to know what you think of it, because we understand all of it. Even if I don't, if there's words from Limerick that I've never heard before, I'm like, I have a feeling I know what it means.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I'm just like, I'm interested to see if Americans get it at all.
I would be, yeah, because one of the, what the fuck was it? Michael Collins's Arse Babies, or Eamon de Valera's Arse Babies?
Arse Children.
Him and Arse Children. I feel like a lot of that wouldn't make any sense.
Or perfect sense.
Or perfect. Well, like, it barely makes sense to me, and...
It
it
shouldn't make any sense to you. What are you talking about?
Well, I suppose the only frame of reference in that, the only thing that makes sense in that story is that you know the two characters.
Yeah.
So if you leave that out, it's just two men shouting about arse children for like 5 pages. So like, what's left really?
Hey, there's some cocktails. They talk about cocktails.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I love that story.
It is. It's a great story, but
you know, also I love about it. It was probably one of the things that made me really apprehensive about putting some stuff out behind the paywall, because I remember when that came out and he did the first part of it he released, he read as the actual short story, is the audiobook on the podcast, and he was like, now the second part of it is in the book, and no one, like, the amount of people I talked to were like, what a bastard, what an absolute bastard.
How dare he? Give it to me all for free. Yeah. Give it all to me.
Yeah, either give me all of it or none of it. Which is actually maybe that's how.
No, well, that's
literally how Irish people think. They're like, don't give me some nice stuff if I can't have everything. Don't get my hopes up.
Well, that's why, when we did like any of the episodes where, the first part's free and the second bit's behind a paywall, we started with like, now, full warning. This, if you don't want to listen to the second one, get out now. Because like normal podcasts from other parts of the world, it'll just be at the end and be like, and if you want to hear how this ends, you're going to have to pay for it. We have to flag it ahead of time, because I know rightly a lot of people after 10 seconds are like, well, fuck you, but thanks for telling me. I'm going to stop now.
Yeah.
I'm out.
You just check the numbers, and because we do see when basically for downloads to count, you have to play the thing for at least a minute. And that doesn't happen for those episodes.
No, they're just like, all right, grand, I'll see you next week. I'd rather not know half a story.
Which is fair enough, but that's the opposite of what ended up happening with this episode. Jason went into a whole lot of backstory about the book where this week's story comes from. A book called The Annals of the Four Masters. And ended up doing a whole hour about that and like the early mythology of Ireland according to that book. So we cut it out and made that into a Patreon episode. So you can head over to Patreon/ShyTalkHistory if you want to sign up. Pay a $5 and listen to it there, along with all the other stuff we put up. Then you can just leave after you've paid your $5, or you can hang around and listen to all the other stuff we'll be putting out. If you sign up, you'll be hanging around with the likes of George Veal, Natalie Ritsema. I really hope I got that name right, Natalie, because you're a legend. Kelly Sullivan and Cathal Byrne. I definitely nailed those last two names, but you could be hanging out with all those guys and the rest of our class patrons. So yeah, that's the pitch. The rest of this episode will make complete sense without hearing that first episode. So don't worry about that. But if you want a little extra, a little background to the story, then that's where you'll get it. But so now I'm just going to edit seamlessly back into the rest of the intro we recorded.
And so without any further ado, and you can tell that we've gotten off on a tangent and we've lost our place as the intro of the thing. Hey, here's the story of William Sweeney or Mad Sweeney. See you soon.
Gather around now, you're in for a story. Old tales of lore, all in search of a glory. The history and mystery of lads, lasses and all. Discoveries and voyages, the rise and the fall. Follow me now as we go back in time. We trace the steps of Irish age to find. Joseph from Carlisle and Kevin the Dog guide you through the ways of Shining.
Now, I'm not going to pronounce this man's name as Bulyashivna for the whole thing, because I'm almost definitely wrong. So
you may as well just get it wrong once at the start and then pivot to a different name.
Yeah, and now I'm changing it to Sweeney, and it's the English translation. Now, Shivna Colman, son of Colman Quar, the mother effing king of Dalnardi, which was basically king of Antrim. It was it was people up there in Antrim, and it was its own kingdom. Now, one day, this Sweeney fella is meant to be a bit of a brute, likes a bit of crack, drinking, bread, bit of fun, bit of fighting. He's a king. He's a good. It's not all bad. Or when I read it, I was like, that doesn't make him a bad man. That doesn't make him a bad man.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with this.
He just loves sandwiches.
Now, one day, there's a saint by the name of Ronan Finn. Goes walking around, maybe marking out dimensions and boundaries for a new church, or else just ringing a bell around his land. And that sound of the bell floats through the air, lands on Sweeney's ears, and he's none too pleased to find out the church acting the maggot on his land. So he tears over towards Ronan, to tell him what for.
Mm-hmm.
And as he does this, his wife, Eorann, Eorann, Anne.
Eorann.
Yeah.
Oren?
That's a dude's name, though, right?
It is. Well, who knows?
So she, either way, she grabs his cloak, and like a really bad 90s comedy, it all gets ripped off.
All right.
And so he does
the whole thing.
He does like any man would do, and he says, "Don't give a shite. Continue making a beeline directly for the priest." There.
Yes.
So he gets there and throws the book of Psalms that the priest has into the lake, starts dragging Ronan off by the hand. Not sure what he's going to do with him, but we never find out, because at that time, Congal Clane has sent a messenger or somebody over to him, because he says, "I need help for the Battle of Moirath," or Magrath, Moirath, which took place in County Down. Now, Moira today, County Down, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Some say he was getting into the zone beforehand. He already knew about the battle, and that's why the sound of the bell had annoyed him, because it got him out of the... he was kind of doing that. Like he was doing the Nicolas Cage Gone in 60 Seconds. I don't know, I can't play the song, and I can't sing the song, so that's only a reference for people who've seen that movie.
He was doing like our friend Jesse before a gig and shadow boxing before he went on and looking like a lunatic. Which is also, do you want to tell that story of Jesse getting shepherded out of the festival? It wasn't even shepherded. He was just, we were at Knockenstock, and then he was like, before he goes on stage, he's just like shadow boxing to get warmed up. One of the bouncers, or one of the security guys, just come over and like sort of put a hand on the shoulder. Was like, "Yeah, you're right there, mate." Because from their point of view, he was just behind a stage, punching and muttering to himself.
And he would do damage. Like he was a former MMA fighter, so yeah, he's like, you would look at him and go, "I'm not saying anything to this guy." He's very nice, friendly Canadian.
If I was doing that, yeah, it's really nice when you start talking to him. If I was doing that, they'd just be like, they'd put a net over me and throw me out in the car park. But because it was him, I was like, I'm not fucking going near that. But so yeah, his blood was up. He was in battle mode, and then all of a sudden he hears this bell.
Yeah, and then he still doesn't do much to your man. I think he might hit one of his. I think he has an assistant down there as well, Ronan. He might do something to him. He might hit him or something. But overall, Ronan Finn isn't too happy about this. He screams after he leaves. Be it my will, together with the will of the mighty Lord, that even as he came stark naked to expel me, may it be thus that he will ever be, naked, wandering and flying throughout the world. May it be death from a spear point. Now,
nice.
He puts this to the side, though, probably because the book was returned to him by a friendly otter shortly after. He then tries to make...
Okay.
I had to gloss over it. I was like,
you can only do so much.
Every account.
Right. A friendly otter just swam back with the Book of Psalms.
Yeah. We can come back to some of that afterwards.
Yeah. But this is a good time in Christianity before they got into the whole like turn the other cheek, forgiveness, and all that sort of bullshit. Someone comes up to you and you're like, he's gonna walk the land naked forevermore until he's fucking stabbed by a spear.
Is it?
That's old
I think,
style.
is it in Richard Pryor's book, or I forget what, there's a comedy book out there somewhere, and one of the guys, the whole chapter where the advice is like, most times people say, don't keep resentment, let it all pass, turn the other cheek, it'll make you a happier, like healthier person, all of that stuff. And for the most part, that does work. Yeah. But also, this guy's advice was just, no, anyone who's ever said anything bad about you or negative, keep that, harbour that, keep it deep down, use it as fuel to fucking beat them in life and show them why they're wrong. And you're like, well, that also is a very good tactic. Like, that's a very good tactic.
Spend your entire life angry and resentful, and then at the end, it'll all pay off. Don't worry about that. There'll be a moment when you're like, it was all worth it. All the bitterness inside, it all pays off in the end. Just keep on that path.
I'd agree with it.
Yeah.
Not for all of your life, but for about 20% of it. For like, you'd pick one thing in life you could be like that with. But And now, because of the fact that he's got his book back, and now he knows about this battle, he goes, I should probably stop this. I'm a saintly man. That's how you get to be a saint. You got to do that kind of stuff. So he goes down there. Now,
forget about the naked curses and the spear throwing. Hey, he's calmed down.
yeah, he's like, lads, don't be fighting each other. Stop. And they won't stop. They won't listen to him. They want to go at it. So he says, I think he just pours some holy water on the ground for each of them before the battle. And he's like, right, go on now. But I'm not sure of the timeline. At some point, Finn does get the leaders to agree to a truce at nighttime. As in, we'll only fight during the day.
That's something, I guess.
But Sweeney keeps breaking this, killing one person per night. So he's being a real dick, I think is what they called it at the time.
Yeah. What do you do to punish that, though? Like, well, now we'll be at war twice as hard.
Well, yeah, it's like he's basically an unruly child who's figured out that his parents have no power.
The priest is just going to be the man who you threatened to beat up is going to be more angry at you. But I mean, who cares?
No, one day before.
Also, is he still naked at this point?
I think at some point someone's clothed him now. Yeah, it's not as fun. But one day before the battle recommences, Ronan's doing his rounds of holy water blessings for the soldiers and that, and Sweeney kills one of his assistants with a spear, and he.
Okay.
I don't know. I think he takes they've been blessed with water or whatever it is as some kind of a slight. I don't know. He also seems like a dick, so maybe he just did it anyway.
Yeah.
So he kills this guy with a spear, and then Ronan turns around and he tries to kill him with a spear.
Okay.
But Ronan is wearing a necklace or some kind of a medallion or a bell or something on it. The fucking spear split that in half, leaves him unscathed, but it breaks that in him.
Amazing.
But it gives him enough time then to turn around.
Is that the first ever 80s action film where someone gets shot and then the bullets lodged in like a Bible or
yeah.
or something?
You'd think it would have been it should have been the Bible. They shouldn't have just used a bell.
I guess, yeah.
But the fact that he doesn't have a spear now and he's shot. That's his chance.
Okay.
So now the ball's in Ronan Finn's court. So he says, I pray the mighty Lord that high as went the spear shaft into the air and among the clouds of heaven, may you go likewise even as any bird, and may the death which you have inflicted on my foster child be that which will carry you off, to wit, death from a spear point. And my curse on you, and my blessing on Euron. I invoke Euron and Tele on my behalf against your seed and the descendants of Colum Cor.
That is Old Testament
He
stuff.
should have said, you're fucked.
You're fucked, son. You done mess with the wrong saint.
Yeah.
My God is a vengeful God, and he is raining down on you.
Not today, man. Wrong lad. Not today. Not fucking today. I'm having a... Leave it.
Walk away. I'm telling you now. Alright, you just stabbed my foster child. You broke my bell. Fuck you.
Hold me back.
I like how, in the middle of that curse, he was complimenting his throw. May it go as high and in as mighty an arc as that fine... I'll give it to him. He could throw a javelin. That's fair play to him. But Mad Sweeney's not going to like that. I mean, you're trying to kill him beforehand, and now he's standing in the middle of the field giving blessings to the other side.
Well, that's the thing. I think, or his side, it's a weird one. We'll come back to the inaccuracies or the inconsistencies later on. But
sure. It's a good to see that he's above the pettiness of man, that he's being saintly and putting religion before all others. Someone throws a spear at him, he's like, "Fuck this, man! Fuck you! Fuck him! Fuck this shit!" I'm going with those guys.
That would be fair. I would do the same.
Yeah, I'd do the same thing, but I'm not a saint.
Like that, if oh no, we should stop this fight, hold them back. One guy throws a punch and hits the wrong person, and then he goes, no, let him at him. Let that guy, let fucking...
I tried.
Yeah. Which is exactly, one of the funniest things in life, and always one of my favourite things to see. That the person who's trying to stop the fight gets hit and then gets angry. I think I've seen it maybe...
just rose in strong behind the other side.
2 or 3 times in my life, and it's just one of the best things in the world to see the calming influence of a minute before now being held back by the person who was originally being held back.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, there's some accounts that say that the sights and sounds of the battle are what did it, but this version of the story says that he dropped his weapons and started to slowly, softly walk off the battlefield there and then.
Mad Sweeney.
But he goes mad.
Was it? Yeah.
So some say that it's as soon as the priest says that, he's fecked. Or some people say that he says that and then all of the battle commences and all the sounds and everything, like, he gets PTSD. It's like shell shock.
Yeah. He starts playing Hello Darkness, my old friend.
Oh, he literally
just walks slowly off the middle of the battlefield.
That is exactly what happens. He just
Come to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, yeah, you think PTSD, you only think back as far as like World War II, but I'm sure in every battle, if you saw a man get ripped asunder in front of you, like, well, this is unsettling, and I won't be the same again.
World War One was meant to be so much worse for that than two.
Yeah,
because
yeah, like
the audio,
come back
you're hearing
like,
guys being trapped 10 to 20 feet away from you, just screaming for days on end because you can't. Ugh. Anyway, comedy history,
and then your generals would just be like, "Stop being a coward," and then shoot you in the head if you didn't go back out and fight.
I don't care if your foot's broken. Cut it off.
Yeah,
cut the other one off as well, so it's not uneven.
We got the wrong one, boss. This is actually his arm. That's on me.
So here's probably where we should talk about it. All the inaccuracies.
What inaccuracies? The Otter Man?
All of that.
The cave salmon?
The fact that there's different accounts everywhere, and we know we've already talked about like how that happens and such, but...
Yeah, I really like when there's multiple accounts and the only thing they agree on is something like an otter gave his book back. That's the only point you all talk about.
It was 1642. It was 1643. Can we agree that it was a unicorn? Yes, that's fine.
Well, obviously, yes.
So yeah, I reckon it's because the book is made as an in between from the old Irish mythology into like the Christian calendar, like their history. So there's a way to like meld them together. So I imagine that at a certain point when they're writing it, it's tough to get rid of the old style. So like there's still people there being like, it's a writer's table. There's a bunch of people sat around and someone's like, so he plays like Hello Darkness, my old friend, and walks off. And then some guy's like, and his footsteps were so light, it appeared as if he was flying. And then someone says, it actually appeared as if he was almost like a bird. And then someone said, actually, some people even said that he started to sprout feathers. And you go, no, that's why we're doing this book. Stop it.
No feather sprouting.
Yes.
It's just metaphors now.
And then a boy actually found one of the feathers that shed, and he picked that up and put it in his ear, and then he became the High King of the land. It's 2018, lads. You can't be...
That's not what happened.
But yeah, I reckon that's what's happening with a lot of these inaccuracies. That it's just one person there going, well, what if we made him a salmon? What could we say?
I like how the old stories were. Everyone lived to be 12,000 years old and they were all half animals. And then, they're trying to do gritty reboots of everything.
Yeah, then they try to do a Christopher Nolan, every imagination of the Irish history. And it's just... So now he started his wandering. It is called, the whole story, like Mad Sweeney or Sweeney's Frenzy. That's what the Bwilya means in Shivna.
Okay.
So
he may or may not have been a half bird man at this point.
He's not. He's a man. He's for sure a man. they make that. That's just still one person going, I think I saw a feather. I think he had a. He had a hairy ass. He's got a. So he keeps wandering now until he stops at a yew tree a little bit out of the way, and before eventually being found by some of his comrades, specifically Angus the Fat, which was a cruel name because there wasn't even any other Anguses in the group.
No.
To justify it as a descriptor. It was just mean.
That's who Angus Beef is named after.
Yeah, Angus too much.
Also, definitely someone called like Angus the Fat at that point. Wouldn't have a look in modern days.
He was 9 stone.
Yeah. He had a bit of a spare tire. He was like 45.
Yeah. You couldn't see his organs through his skin. He wasn't quite translucent yet.
Yeah.
Now, he found him as he was fleeing the battle, but he was useless enough at getting anything out of him. Also, he probably didn't hang around too much either because he was fleeing the battle as well.
He's probably hungry. Yeah. Heading off for a fucking steak sandwich.
But he went off to Tyrconnell and hung about for around another tree there for a while.
Okay.
And here the opposition found him.
Right, yeah, Tyrconnell's Donegal.
I'll take your word for it. But so he's been found by his own people, no response. Now he's found by the opposition, no response as well. And they even, once great king and an enemy, but they liked him, so they felt pity for him and tried to help him, but still nothing.
Okay.
So he sort of wanders around for about 7 years then, before returning back to his home place with people trying to...
So he's a bit of a home bird.
Oh, free bird is what I would have called him.
Yes.
There's more than one way to Leonard Skinner the cat. So he heads back to his home place, Glen Bocken.
Right.
And back there, there's people trying to catch him. Now,
Okay.
It doesn't really say that there's like people are.
Who's trying to catch him?
It doesn't seem like people are to get him. Well, there's a fella called Long Shakhan. I'm going to call him Seekin. I'm going to call him Seekin.
Seekin. All right.
Yeah. So Seekin, at first I was like, oh, that's interesting. He's going to be hunting him down. No, he's hunting him down to help him. He's trying to find him to snap him back into sanity.
Yeah, it seems like everyone who's looking for him is trying to... If his own men have found him and his enemies have found him, he's probably fine.
Yeah, and everyone's trying to help him, and he's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but Longshan's out there... Yeah, Seekin's trying to find him.
Mm-hmm. He's an ornithologist.
Well,
looking for birds. He's out there with his binoculars, looking high and low.
And the second time he evaded capture was when he had went back to visit his wife.
Oh,
Yeah, goes back to see her. Hasn't seen her in a while, so says
like 7 years.
might as well drop in, keep the relationship open, lines of communication. You never know, just could get back together at
half
some
a
point.
relationship is just showing up, Jason.
It really
once
is.
every 7 years.
And the other half is staying.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to show up and you stay.
he's really good at one of the things.
Yeah,
every 7 years.
That was the original 7-year itch. Is just when you get it, you're like, just I'll fucking tip in and see her. It's been 7 years.
I'm a new person technically, and I went to saw her. I was like, well, this new person realizes that she's also a giant bitch. So when he went to go visit his wife, he goes in there, chats to her, realizes she's got a new fella.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a few years.
Yeah,
It's kind of like I'm not going to make a movie reference, but out of the furnace. But when he goes, he's like, he loves this woman, and now she's off with somebody else, and even she goes, he knows that she loves him more, but it's better for her to maybe be with like a lad who's there and is also not mental,
who's not cracked.
Yeah. So that would be preferable, or better for her life. So they make that decision, or he just tells her and then runs off because he's like, well, there's more men coming in here to get me. They burst in and he's not there, so he's after getting away again.
Yeah, away from the help that they're trying to give him.
Yeah, but I was like, that's gonna, when eventually we make a movie out of this someday, that's gonna be a really like a gut wrenching scene, like tug on those emotions, the heartstrings.
Well, if I am gonna make him jump out the window though and do a barrel roll.
Oh yes, for sure.
You could have just left by the door. It's called theatrics.
It's called selling the scene.
Yeah.
No, I think this is one of those that sets him off. So he's like, I can't be back home out here. So he goes off wandering again. I think he makes his way back to the first tree where he had hid after going mad, the yew tree.
When he walked up, was he like, it's you?
Who are you again? But when his wife approaches him, now, he Long Shakhan, this is him. He's at this again. He's trying to trick me out. He's trying to lure me out with my wife that I love.
Yeah.
So he fecks off to another tree. And it's here that they actually do get him, because they trick him, not with the use of his wife, but by telling him that she and all of their kids and everything have died.
Nice. It's hard to keep a straight face when you're delivering that news. You'd be just bursting into laughter.
But in a strange turn of events, this actually he's quick to snap out of it now. Kind of the opposite of usually you'd hear like, oh, my wife, like, was not Shutter Island or whatever, like wife and kid died, I went mad. He's like, no, I went mad, my wife and kids died. And I was like, actually, maybe I should re-enter the world. This seems...
He was just dodging alimony checks for 7 years. And he's like, may as well go back inside now, I suppose.
No, I'm mental. I'm mad. I'm a bird.
Yeah. And just birds can't pay checks, right? Well,
now Long Seekin did his job to get him back to to being not mental. and then
Right.
nurses him above and beyond, nurses him back to his old self. Until one day he was doing a bit of work in the mill, and a mill hag, as she's referred to, challenged him to a leaping competition.
Now, yeah. The things that go on in the mill
What happens in the mill stays in the mill.
is now on a podcast 2,000 years later.
Yeah. So they start this competition, and let me explain the rules of the competition.
Oh, I know. You explain it for the people at home, Jason, but I'm well aware. I'm au fait with the rules of a mill leaping competition.
Okay. You should explain it then, because I'm still not really fully sure.
No, this is you're in the driving seat here. You go on ahead.
Okay. There's none. I don't really understand. It's in every account that they say
It's a free for all.
Every account say this fucking hag comes in here and she's challenging him to a jumping competition. And that makes me think that maybe leaping is not jumping, that it's something else. But
okay.
Then I read a little further. I'm like, oh, it's definitely that. And now I really want to know what the competition rules are, because they're jumping and they're going back and forth. They're having great crack all together. And then a hunting party nearby, guns, dogs, horses, etc. I imagine a lot of sounds, and probably the shell shock PTSD.
Oh, it tips him off again.
Yeah, it triggers him, and he's fucking.
He's gone again.
He is, and so is she, because according to the accounts, she falls and gets milled to bits.
Oh shit! By the mill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. So he, in the middle of this innocent game of leap, starts having flashbacks to that battle that he lost, and then fucks up his leap, and then she dies.
I think she fucks up her leap. He gets PTSD from the sounds and all that crack, and then she maybe sees him freak out wherever misplaces a foot or something. Are they jumping from heights? Or I don't know what's really going on, but
yeah,
she ends up dying, and then I'm like, whoa. Would it be a thing maybe in history where like men rewrite things?
Possibly.
Because you're like, the mill hag. Oh yeah, now let's give it a description as to why she got that name. Nah,
yeah.
She's just that bitch in the mill, And then she came in here with her on her high horse saying, "Let's have a." She forced me into a jumping competition.
I didn't
Everyone
want
knows
to.
how much I hate jumping. I hate jumping.
Yeah.
It actually triggers me.
Yeah, so the cops of the day on Garda Síochána just walk into a mill and see a dead woman on the ground, and then some batshit crazy former king standing there is like, I know what it looks like, and you're right. We were having a leaping competition, and she fell.
She came at me.
What's with this knife wound in her back? We were playing knifey backy, and then there was some dogs were barking nearby. I freaked out as per usual, and then she jumped at the knife.
She leapt backwards into the knife.
An innocent mistake.
But it's weird because, yeah, she's always referred to as a hag. He gets away with it, and they go, oh, he was triggered by something. It was a quick moment of madness, and then he was fine again.
Yeah, which is true of most murders.
True.
Your Honor, he was only really violent for a couple of minutes. I mean, for a lot of his life, he's been asleep. At least a third of it. I think we should take that into account.
Because most days he doesn't kill people. It's just that
he was just that one day that he did.
But it's weird just because of the fact that they always refer to him as that, and it seems like he's done something odd here, and then Long Shikon doesn't forgive him because that hag is his mother-in-law.
Oh, so you say he doesn't forgive him?
No,
I thought if he killed his mother-in-law, he'd be like, fair play to you.
No.
Slip him a fiver.
Because now he probably has his missus in his ear going, oh, your friend, he's always coming over here. He stays too long. He's murdering my parents. You're like, he's outstayed his welcome now. It's been 2 weeks.
He's only murdered one parent, in fairness. I only paid him for one.
Yes.
I mean, you're right. It probably is time he left.
Look, Sweeney, I love you. You always have a place to stay here. There's always a bed. There's a couch, wherever you would ever need. But we're going to start trying now. We want to have a kid. So it's not really, she's ovulating, she feels weird that you're in the house while we're trying to do it. Could you and you've murdered her mother. It's like, you'd just be very best if you would leave now. Come back in a month. She'll be fine with it. I'll meet you down in Kerry, we'll have pints. It'll be grand. But no.
This is what your brother said to you, isn't it?
I get along with my sister-in-law. And her parents, actually. Very well. I'm on their phone
Yeah.
plan because they're still in America.
Okay.
Yeah. So he sets off wandering again, now a bit further afield. Yet I assume maybe he did get better, maybe the madness is back fully now. It seems to be he dips in and out of it at points over the thing.
When it's convenient for him, he's mad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like,
whenever murders happen, he's, I've had a flash again.
oh, you know what he's like. Don't be making
Yeah.
noises around him. That's your own fault. But he goes and wanders off into England and Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah, wandering over there, teams up with another fella by the name of Fur Collier, man of the wood, and
Nice.
that's how it translates to. And then they
Yeah.
would wander together for about a year or so.
Okay.
He was cracked as well. That's what everywhere said. Another local madman, lunatic. That's
Mhm.
the definition, I think. But he's only with him for about a year because eventually Fur Collier dies by drowning in a waterfall.
No, there you go. He was a man of the woods, not a man of the water. How do you drown in a waterfall? I feel like you're standing up and you just walk out.
How do you die in a leap?
Kept looking
How
up.
do you die in a leaping competition?
That's true. That is, yeah, okay.
Also, and it's at this point now that Sweeney heads home, back to Ireland and back to Glenbocken, goes to see the wife. Now he doesn't go inside because he's lost some trust in her now. As I was, trust is very important in a relationship, Kevin. And if you try to get somebody tricked into imprisonment, not too happy.
If you tried to section someone.
Yeah. And also the fact that the first time he went to visit her, even if she didn't know about it, they did know about it. Like, the other people knew, so they did go try to catch him. So he's like, I'm not going inside because I'll be caught. I'll be stuck.
Yeah.
You've boarded up that window. But, yeah, she's not really too put out by it because she doesn't want nothing to do with him. She calls him an embarrassment, a waste of space. Look at the state of you, the hack of you. Stay away from me.
Yep.
Tells him to feck off and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this bollocking sort of shocked him back into a bit of sense. And he says, I'm going to head to face whatever punishment I deserve.
Yeah.
It's been long enough now that
Yeah.
like this has been long enough of wandering and not really doing anything just because I was a dick before. So now Ronan Finn, Saint Ronan Finn.
Oh, so he's going back. Yeah, so he's ready. He's ready to forgive himself.
Yeah.
He's ready to offer himself up.
Pretty much, yeah. Because yeah, he knows he's
Okay.
not going there to get away with this. He's going there to be like, I'm sorry, but I know what I've deserved, but let's finish this thing. Or maybe it's also one of those like you find a wallet in the ground and you know a way to contact the person. You're like, I'll do the right thing. I'm going to call them up and be like, hey, I have your wallet. Let's meet up. And then you meet up and you give them the thing and it has all the money in it. And then you're like, oh, they're going to give me 20 quid. They're going to give me 20 quid. Why are they walking away without it was weird because they said thank you, but then they didn't shake my hand and give me 20 quid.
Yeah.
And then you follow them down the street and start screaming at them. And you start making a scene and pointing at them, and then you Facebook Live it, and then you tell everyone in Temple Bar that, you see, this guy, I just brought him back €400 because of a wallet he lost when he was pissed, and he walked away. He said thank you, but he didn't. €20, the minimum you could.
You gotta buy your thank yous.
Yeah. Anyone, when someone does that for you, minimum €20.
Yeah.
If there's nothing in the wallet, other than IDs and stuff, €20. It saves you time and money.
It saves you a lot of hassle.
But enough of my PTSD. We're back to his. This Ronan, when he's heard of this and him coming back, he more than likely assumes that it's because he's angry. Because last time he met him, he was,
Right, yeah.
well, he's killed a bunch of people and he's trying to kill him a lot.
If the last time he met you, he tried to kill you, and then all he's been doing since then is wandering around and getting refused by his wife and getting involved in situations where it seems like he might have murdered people. If you hear he's coming down to you, like, this is not good news.
No, better get fresh milk, put the kettle on.
What gossip have I got? Because he's going to ask me how I've been going on, and all I'll be able to remember is stuff that's happened in the last week. But it's been like 8 years. There must be something.
What was the name of his wife? What was his wife's name? What was it? What was the kid? Was it James? Was it John? Was it James?
Oh shit,
was
probably
it John.
Shouldn't bring that up. Fuck.
And you're still friends with Seekin, you are? Or,
oh, you're hanging out with Woodman over in Scotland. Yeah, how's he getting on? He was always good crack.
Loved swimming. That's what I always remember him. Loved swimming. Great swimmer.
Yeah,
he was. Now so with a little help from the big man upstairs, God, Ronan Finn gets Sweeney haunted on his trip back when he's passing through Armagh. He dreams of, or else he's surrounded by there's a bunch of severed heads and their bodies. So they get field somewhere, I think, because he's on the way back, and then that has now set him back to madness. Good. You're like, that's a tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with. And then
that's tough for anyone to deal with.
Maybe for you, speak for yourself. But you don't know what my life's been. What I've had to do to get here, the things that I've seen, the places that I have come from, what I had to pass through, Kevin Larney. You don't know me.
So many severed heads.
Now, this recent bout of PTSD...
I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Is it like... Remember Sir Walter Raleigh, the potato man?
Yes.
I think it was his stepbrother or something like that. When he was in Ireland, he used to like... During one of the invasions, he just set up his tent, and then on the way up to the tent, he'd have the severed heads of all the townspeople lined up. So if anyone was going up with a complaint, you'd have to like walk past rows of your fucking neighbours and family and friends, severed heads. By the time you get into the tent, you're like, it's probably fine. It's actually grand.
What was it you wanted to say? I just think you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And no one, I don't know if anyone's been telling you this. I think you've been one of the best things that have happened to this town in years.
Yeah. It was really, you should have seen the state of the place before you came along. It's really picked up.
Have you?
Heads off to you. I mean, hats off to you. I mean, don't kill me.
A tip of the head to you.
Yeah.
Now, so this latest bout of PTSD is set him off and he goes wandering. So he set off now, but in the opposite direction, down south, to a place called St. Mullins. Do you want to have a guess what county that's in?
St. Mullins, County Louth, home of Mullins chips.
You would be from there, so you would probably know if there was a township called St. Mullins, no? Would you not know every town in your county?
What? It's huge.
It's the second smallest county. Smallest?
Let's move on. It is the smallest, yeah.
In this story, as in real life, St. Mullins is in Carlow.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the story earlier, he'd mentioned this place as he sings about it in a song as he's wandering around.
Okay.
Also, I probably haven't really mentioned this. As he's been wandering around, a lot of the people he meets, he does interact with them. But it's all through like weird poetry and riddles and songs, and like that's why he's the madman. You're like he's naked. I assume at this stage now he's naked. He's disheveled. He's probably pretty skinny. He's got a giant penis. He's walking around screaming about stuff, and everyone's like, "It's difficult." But then when you go up and actually talk to him, and he's just talking nonsense to people, so that's why people are really pretty annoyed with him as well. That you go up and try and talk to this homeless man, and he's just taking the piss.
Singing songs about St. Mullins.
Yeah. St. Mullins, he says, is also the place he's going to die. I don't think he's never been there.
Okay. But he's already picked where he's going to die. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I've done it.
Yeah.
Now,
I've already bought my gravestone.
And plane ticket. I'll let you know that. It's not America.
Interesting.
But now down here, he meets St. Molling, which is what St. Mullins is named after. And he stays with him in the house of St. Molling, with him bringing him to his sermons and employing a local cook to find a way to feed him. Because he's a bit mad like that. You get a way to get sustenance into him because he's used to just kind of wandering and talking shite instead of eating.
Yeah.
But if he's used to talking shite, then the easiest way for him to get sustenance would be to drink shite.
Right.
Because it's also an oral. It's easier.
Yeah.
She puts her foot into cow dung, into shite, and makes a little hole, and then pours milk into it.
Okay. That's what the cook does.
Yeah.
Where'd she go to college? Where'd she go to culinary school? What the hell is this?
Carlow.
Oh yeah, sorry.
This.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, that's a local delicacy.
Yeah, that cafe is still there today.
Yeah, the milky patty.
I mean, there's a lot of sustenance in chocolate milkshakes.
Maybe that's just what he's been eating this whole time when he's been walking around.
I still don't Also, I'm willing to believe this straight away. Like he turned into a salmon.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that didn't happen. He was drinking milk out of shite. Okay, you got me. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Let's start reversing now. Wait, you're saying he turned into a salmon? Okay, all of a sudden I can see it.
I suppose an otter could read a book, given the right circumstances.
Yeah, and within 10 pages go, this is not for me, and return it to its owner.
Yeah.
So she does that for a while.
Rewarding work. You gotta love what you do.
Mm-hmm. Now, people from the town have kind of copped on to this thing of, what would you call it? Him drinking and eating shite.
Yeah.
Like it's not gone under the radar.
No, so even for the time in Carlo, they're still like, we all eat shite from time to time, but that's a lot of shite.
That's an awful lot of shite. And then obviously it made a comeback in the 90s, but it's gone again now. But like it's like most things, it's like fashion. It's cyclical. But what a small town Ireland, Kev. What's it known for outside of the GAA and pints and casual racism or bigotry? What do you mainly think about small town Ireland?
Gossip.
Ho, that's why we're friends. You read my mind like a book, like an annal of Irish history, as long as I set it up with a preface of like a couple of sentences.
Yeah, you really teed that one up there for me.
I set him up and then tell you where I've put it and ask you to hit it, and then you have a go.
It was either gossiping or drinking the head of yourself every night of the week.
Mm-hmm. Now, gossip ensues. And I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring and say it's probably just like a bunch of 14-year-olds around the town just having fun.
Yeah.
She has a husband, this cook.
The cook. Okay.
Now, he goes by the name of Mongan.
Yeah.
And Mongan ends up, someone gets into his ear, again, probably young lads from the town, and they're up there going to him, and maybe he's had a few pints, maybe he's not all there in the head, maybe he's just stupid anyway, who knows? But they get up to him and they're going, your wife rides the lad who drinks shite.
You got to be pretty insecure as a husband to be like, hey, my wife seems to be spending an awful lot of time with this man who drinks milk out of cow shit.
Yeah, I know.
I can't compete with that. If she finds out, if she spends too much time with him, I know I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
This homeless, naked man who's been wandering the country for 14 years.
And he wasn't even too worried about all of that. It was just he couldn't really compartmentalize because he was thinking, right, well, this guy can't really communicate or speak. He's mad. He seems to be very violent. He's drinking shite milk out of shite. Everyone seems to hate him. He's got a slightly bigger penis than I do. He's got a tiny...
Yeah, that's all I'm hearing.
Yeah. He's walking around naked. I've seen it. Even if he's not a grower, even if he's just a shower, we're talking different sports.
He's got me beat. What can I offer that this man can't, you know?
So after hearing the rumour and getting a bit annoyed by it, he goes around... So he goes down to where he is and lobs a spear at him, up in the air, as high as the first one that he had thrown himself at the priest, and comes down, lashes him into the chest, dead.
Damn.
Dies in the place where he said he would.
People really love throwing spears.
They do, and they're good at it as well. We're bad at that now.
Yeah.
But he dies in the place he said he would, by the way that St. Ronan Finn said he would. But thankfully for him, because it wasn't part of the prophecy or anything, that because he'd made mates with Molling. He was there to kind of absolve him of his sins and do the last rites and stuff, so it wasn't actually all that bad. Saved by a priest in the end. Cursed by a priest, saved by a priest.
Nice.
Yeah.
If only that had happened several years previously, I suppose, but he got there in the end. But, I mean, you said prophecy there, and I'll give it to you, he was killed in the same way that the priest had said initially. That's something. But the fact that he died in the place that he went there. Like, he kept saying he'd die in this place, and then he actively went there when he was finished with living.
Oh, no, yeah.
Like, that's not really a prophecy. That's just you doing something you said you did.
Yeah, it's just, anytime I say, like, I'm going to be alone and sad forever, you're like, well, yeah, because you're not doing anything about that. You're like, you're
that's not a prophecy.
You're not doing nothing to stop that happening. You're actively going towards that direction.
Yeah. You're making choices.
Even if you don't know, it's subconscious. But yeah, that's the story of Mad Sweeney. Bulya Shivna. Have you heard of him before?
No.
Seamus Heaney did a translation of the poem, got into Irish, or of a translation from the thing into a smaller poem or back into. I don't know. Seamus Heaney did some He's always done translations, like Brian Friel, but it's called Sweeney Astray. It won some awards back then. It's about 85 pages or something. But T.S. Eliot, Sweeney Agonists.
Tiseliot.
Sweeney Agonists. Okay. And I think also maybe Sweeney is mentioned in The Wasteland as well. And then Flann O'Brien used it as inspiration a bit for At Swim Two Birds.
Okay.
Seemingly.
Yeah. I can see how At Swim Two Birds was inspired by the ravings of a madman walking around for 14 years.
Yeah, agreed.
The play is incomprehensible.
But and then the other big one would be Neil Gaiman, the author, novelist, comic book screenwriter, hero
of Sandman.
Yes. American Gods, Starlight? No, Stardust, and so many. But American Gods was the one where Mad Sweeney is the character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I'd found him in the book years and years ago, and then on the TV show he's played, and your man has a bad accent, but then you allow it because you're like, oh, well, he's technically been living in America now for a couple of 1,000 years or 1,000 years or whatever it is. You're like, it would have changed a little bit. What's not acceptable is when I change my accent in the space of a year or two.
Yeah, that's not on. But then also you're like, maybe, the Irish accent of 1,000 years ago, we don't know what that was like. Maybe it did sound like an American.
Well, that's like in Netflix, the trilogy of horrors, the Fear Street. Your man who did Goosebumps, R.L. Stein. It's based on that. But it's a 3-part trilogy. It's pretty good. It's really fun. But the first one's set in like 84 or something. Maybe the next one's like 92. The next one's like 1978. And then they jump back to 1666.
Okay.
And when they go there, it's like an early settlement town. And it's all the characters you've seen from the first two, but now they're just back a couple of 100 years beforehand. And because it's all like a bunch of recent settlers and that, and they just have the worst Irish accent in the world. It's like it's like they crossed all the different accents together, like when people would have moved, then one generation later, what like the melting pot would have sounded like. But also, if it was just 70% like incomprehensible, like Waterford. It was great. I couldn't even watch. It took me out of it instantly. I had great fun watching it, but like Americans didn't care. They're just like, oh, that's fine. But like this isn't any accent. And then you're like, but it is 400 years ago. I don't know what it sounded like 400 years ago, but I bet it wasn't this.
I always find the same though. Whenever you watch Irish stuff and it just takes you out of it, but then like you're watching some show with like Latvian detectives in it, and you're like, yeah, that is what they sound like. I have no idea.
Narcos, like Escobar.
Legitimately,
and everyone's like, that's not how it's pronounced or sound. Like, that guy's not, that's not fair. That's like one of the worst cases of like whitewashing, but it's not a white guy.
Yeah.
They're like, no, look, we can be disrespectful with people of all colours. But the in American Gods as well, they make, and that's a bit of an add to the story, they make reference to the point that Mad Sweeney is Lou. Lou, Lou, like the big Mr. Tato, like one of the big gods,
the big dog. Yeah. Interesting.
But that's not true. That's just one of those like, it's a TV show in 2020 or whatever. You can just do that. Yeah. But there's been references to it. Again, there's been people with the same name over the space of hundreds and thousands of years. So but he's probably not Lou.
But let's not rule it out.
No, let's because I don't want our best king to be like, or like one of our main people to be. He didn't really do a whole lot apart from be a dick. Then he wandered for about 10 years, mad, talking shite, and then he came back and died.
That's more than most of us will have in our lifetime anyway. You know, it's a good trajectory.
I realised I've just been talking about my life.
Yeah,
and I'm about to come back. If I get a spear in the chest upon my return to Carlow,
just like that old woman who cursed you out in the chip shop 17 years ago.
I'm sure I'm not going back to St. Mullins.
That's great. That's well done. You went well back into the history of Ireland.
I did, and now I need to sleep because I haven't done for a day. I'm sleeping. Like I'm off to New Orleans. Everyone will see on the internet if you follow me. I'm going to go and do that now.
Is it Carnival time?
It's not. But it's all kind of New Orleans is always fun anyway. And it's probably better off. I was going to say better off to go outside of that time. No, definitely go at that time. But trick yourself if it's not though that season to go. That's going to be great anyway because it is.
Yeah.
It's like Vegas. Sure. It's going to be shite regardless.
Well, you enjoy that.
So yeah, that's Mad Sweeney. I had to put it together late, but it was also it was fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I don't think we've done a mythology one this season.
No, it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice one.
Yeah, and then we'll be back for... Is that the end? No, we've one more episode for this season. Is that right? Or is that the end?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll probably do one more.
Yeah.
And then leave it for a bit and then do like a cowboy special probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, okay. Well, if that's it. Yeah, actually, we got a message in to the Instagram this week. Someone was asking, why do you always say shaft her at the end?
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, I remember in secondary school, we had like a substitute teacher. There's a lad in the class called Burner. And everyone would, how it would like just classic lad banter. Everyone would just be like, Burner, her, Burner, and just saying his name over and over again.
Witch.
But then one day, there was a substitute teacher in and she like ran out of the room very distraught. And she was like, they kept saying burn her. And then you have to try and explain to like some adult teachers coming in and giving out to you, and you're like, no, we just thought it was funny to say one of the lads' names over and over again because he doesn't like it. Burner.
I think there was a guy at our school in my class who had a bit of an anger issue at times, but I think some of the like lads used to always just whisper like rat at him, just call him like a rat. Like he wasn't like snitching at anyone, but they used to do it.
Sure, he was like 14.
Yeah, and then he was like genius actually. Now I think about it, for like a 13, 14-year-old or whatever, to take out a page to write a sentence, but it's backwards. And then hold it up to him, and he reads it, and he goes, it was backwards. It makes no sense. And then it's backwards for rats can't read backwards.
Oh man. I really like the idea of like 15, 16-year-old lads being like, yeah, he's a fucking rat, as if he's not like telling the guards where the bodies are hidden. I don't even like, what does a 14-year-old think a rat is?
Yeah, it's like he was put under pressure by his teacher and parents being like, you're fucked if you don't tell us this. Okay, that guy actually did break the law, I'm sorry.
I did witness a murder, yes, I'm sorry. Fucking rat. Rat's out.
But yeah.
Hard lads. Well, that's it cleared up for whoever it was that wrote that in. But yeah, sure, we'll talk to you next week, I think.
Shafter.
Good luck.